Hello parents and welcome to another edition of From the Classroom. My name is Chris Maguire, I'm the leader of Innovation and Digital Learning here at Santa Sophia, and I'm joined by Tim Adams, who is our leader of Student Growth and Analytics, and we're here to talk to you about NAPLAN Online. You know, NAPLAN, that test that happens every year. It's where our students in years 3, 5, 7 and 9 are tested across 5 domains. So we're talking about writing, reading, spelling, grammar, punctuation and numeracy. And Tim, you're here, you're going to help us unpack some of the results from this year.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the main parts of my position here as the leader of Student Growth and Analytics is to look at our data, and NAPLAN is one of those major data sets. And I'm very happy to share that this year's been our best NAPLAN results ever.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's talk about this year compared to last year. Where have we seen growth?
Yes, so when we look at our NAPLAN results, we can talk about improvement in 2 ways. The first being each year to year, and then also looking at same students in that same cohort when they do the test 2 years later. So we can look at both of those ways.
All right, brilliant. Well, let's kick it off for our parents. So let's talk about this year's NAPLAN results, and let's just talk about some of the highlights that we've seen.
Yes, so like I mentioned, a resounding yes, we've improved, and we've had some of our greatest results ever, to the point that we've seen improvement across all domains, those 5 different areas, for all year groups, years 3, 5, 7 and 9, some of our best results for all of them. Some of those highlights, for example, year 3 would be in grammar and punctuation. So you might see a graph on your screen right now that shows that really massive improvement from last year to this year. So last year, we were about 10 scale points clear on average above the state mean. And this year, by that big increase on that line graph, there's a massive improvement there. So that's for year 3. Yeah, so in terms of year 5, one of the great highlights there is in terms of numeracy. So we've kind of coined this term for the comeback season for our year 5s.
Excellent.
Because our performance was below the state mean in previous years, and we've finally come good. So this year in numeracy, as you can see on the graph, we've gone from below that grey line, the state mean last year, to now skyrocketed well above it, where we anticipate it to be, because we don't have those numbers just yet this year. So massive improvement there for year 5 in numeracy. For year 7, one of the great highlights there is reading, which has been a consistent high performer there. As you can see, there's been a bit of a space there between our performance and the state mean each year, but last year we had a bit of a dip. But we've kind of improved since then, bounced back from there, and have seen some considerable growth there for our year 7 readers. And probably the biggest highlight, one that we're really proud of, is our year 9 writing, which has been quite astronomical in terms of the improvement, and to the point that we had around 1/3 of our whole year 9 cohort being the exceeding performance descriptor there for writing. And as you can see in that line graph, it's now another very steep increase there. So highlights all around, but those are a couple from each year group to show some great wins.
All right, so mums and dads, when being a P2P school and having all 4 cohort years complete NAPLAN and seeing growth in every single domain, it's quite rare. So we've performed exceptionally well. So Tim, you mentioned about exceeding. So in the past NAPLAN, we would have bands, you know, band
all
7,
different numbers, But
we've got this new proficiency standard. Can you unpack that for our parents?
Yes, so a couple of years ago, NAPLAN and ACARA changed the reporting system. So we've done away with the numbers, and we now have different proficiency descriptors and standards. So we have needs additional support, developing, strong, and exceeding.
Excellent. Okay, so thinking about these new proficiency standards came out in 2023.
Yes.
We can now compare, using the same proficiency standard, how our year 3 students in 23 performed in 25, how our year 5 students in 23 performed in 25, and so on.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so looking at that data, so like I mentioned, we can look at improvement 2 ways, one last year to this year, and now we can also compare the same students, looking at their improvement over time as well. In terms of looking at that same cohort of kids going from year 3 into year 5 into year 7 into year 9, our distribution across those different performance descriptors has been quite consistent. So no massive jumps, no massive drops or declines. The distribution's been quite consistent, with the exception that there's been some slight increases as well in the number and exceeding too. With the biggest jump being in grammar and punctuation, where we've seen some quite significant and notable increases in the number of students in exceeding for that domain.
All right, brilliant. So we've had some incredible growth from last year to this year. We're seeing our cohorts grow over time. So where to next, Tim?
Yeah, so as Mr. DeVries, our principal, always says, like, NAPLAN is just one part of our data puzzle and our understanding of students. So yes, it's great to celebrate all these great achievements on NAPLAN, but we have all this other data that we can use as well to identify areas of improvement. So with NAPLAN, once we get further results and look at the data and how students performed on each individual question, I'll work with some of the other teachers and leaders here to unpack what our areas of strength were for each of those domains, what questions we might need a bit more support in at the individual student level as well, so we can target those students, whether it's an intervention or adjusting our curriculum and explicit teaching to address those areas. But we can, like I said, also look at other data sets. We have our PAT testing coming later in the year for reading and numeracy, as well as writing. And there's a whole bunch of other data that we could use as well to inform our practice moving forward.
Brilliant. Well, thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks for sharing those insights. And parents, you will receive your child's individual student report at the beginning of term 3. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on our next episode of From the Classroom. Bye for now.